Young woman saves child from the cold. Hours later, 3 military vehicles stop at her door. Emily Johnson was finishing another night shift at Mercy General Hospital when she heard a faint cry coming from the main entrance. It was 6 in the morning on one of the coldest days Denver had ever recorded, with snow covering the streets of the mountain town. When she opened the door, she found a girl about 3 years old, huddled against the wall, clutching an old torn blanket. The child's lips were blue from the cold, and she was shivering uncontrollably. "Oh my goodness, sweetheart, what are you doing here all alone?" Emily immediately took off her green military jacket, a gift from a co-worker, and wrapped it around the little girl. The child looked up at her with big brown eyes, full of tears, but said nothing except for one word she kept whispering: "Grandpa. Grandpa." Emily scooped the child into her arms and carried her inside the hospital straight to the pediatric emergency room. The girl was small for her age, too thin, and her clothes were dirty and damp from melted snow. "Dr. Michael, you need to see this," Emily called, still holding the child. The on-duty doctor approached, quickly examining the girl. "She has mild hypothermia, but nothing serious." "Where did she come from?" "I found her at the door. She's alone and only says Grandpa." Emily gently rocked the child, who had stopped crying and was now watching her curiously. "Let's warm her up first, then we'll call Child Protective Services." Emily took the girl to a private room, where she changed her clothes, gave her a warm bath, and offered her hot milk. Throughout the process, the child clung to her as if she were her salvation. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Emily asked, combing the girl's brown hair. "Lily," the child whispered for the first time, hiding her face in Emily's neck. "Lily, so what a beautiful name. And where's your mommy?" The girl only shook her head and whispered, "Grandpa again." Emily felt something strange in her chest. She had worked at the hospital for 3 years and always had a soft spot for abandoned children who showed up there. But with Lily, it was different. There was a connection she couldn't explain. 2 hours later, Emily was filling out paperwork when she heard the sound of engines outside. It was almost 8 in the morning when she looked out the window, and her heart raced. 3 green military vehicles were parked in front of the hospital. From the first one stepped out a tall man with graying hair, wearing a colonel's uniform. His face was tense, worried, and he walked with the stiff posture of a career military man. "Emily, someone's asking for you at reception," Jessica, the receptionist, informed her. When Emily reached the main lobby, she saw the colonel talking to security. He turned as she approached, and his face went completely pale, as if he'd seen a ghost. "Are you Emily Johnson?" he asked, his voice trembling. "Yes, I am. Are you looking for someone?" "My granddaughter, a 3-year-old girl, Lily. She was last seen last night. She ran away from home in the early hours. We heard a child was found here." Emily studied the man's face. There was something familiar about him, but she couldn't place it. "Yes, I found a little girl named Lily this morning. She's being cared for in pediatrics. Can I see her?" Emily led him to the room where Lily was sleeping, still wrapped in the green jacket. When the colonel saw her, his eyes filled with tears. "It's her. It's my Lily," he murmured, stepping closer to the bed. But when Emily moved toward the bed, the colonel stopped breathing. His eyes darted from Lily to Emily, then back to Lily as if he were seeing something impossible. "Sir, are you all right?" Emily asked, worried by how pale he'd gone. The colonel leaned against the wall, his hand on his chest. "What's your full name?" "Emily Johnson Stevens. Why? And your parents?" "I never knew my parents. I was raised at Hope Children's Home right here in Denver." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now continuing, the colonel had to sit down. His hands trembled as he pulled a wallet from his uniform pocket. From inside, he took out an old yellowed photo. "Look at this," he said, handing the photo to Emily. In the image, a young woman of about 20 held a baby in her arms. The resemblance between the woman and Emily was striking. It was as if it were her, 25 years earlier. "Who is this woman?" Emily asked, a chill running through her. "She was my daughter, Sarah Stevens Miller." Emily sank heavily into the chair beside Lily's bed. "Stevens Miller. That's the name on my orphanage records. Emily. The colonel's voice was barely audible. You're my granddaughter. A heavy silence filled the room. Lily stirred in bed but remained asleep. Emily stared at the photo, then at the colonel, trying to process the information. That's impossible. My parents died when I was a baby. That's what they always told me at the orphanage. Your mother, Sarah, she didn't die. She ran away from home when you were 6 months old. Ran away? Why? The colonel lowered his head, shame written across his face. Because I forced her to give you up for adoption. She was only 17, pregnant with a boy I didn't approve of. I thought I was doing what was best for everyone. Emily felt anger rising in her chest. Best? I grew up without a family, sir, without anyone. I know, and I've regretted it every day since. I searched for you for years, but the orphanage records were a mess, and you'd been transferred multiple times. Just then, Lily woke up and, seeing Emily, reached out her little arms. Auntie, Auntie? The colonel watched, surprised. She's calling you Auntie. She's only known me since this morning. Emily picked Lily up, still overwhelmed by everything happening. Emily, Lily is your niece, your brother Brandon's daughter. My brother, your siblings. Sarah had 2 children. You were first, then Brandon was born 2 years later, but when she ran away, she was pregnant with him. He was born far from here, but I found him when he was 5 and brought him back. Emily felt the world spinning. In just a few hours, she'd gone from a lonely orphan to having a grandfather and a brother. Where is he? Where's Brandon? He's on his way. He's an army captain on assignment in St. Louis when Lily disappeared. He should be here any minute. And my mother? Sarah? Where is she? The colonel closed his eyes, pain clear on his face. We don't know. She disappeared after Brandon was born. We looked everywhere, but we never heard from her again. Emily held Lily tighter, feeling the child was the only solid thing in all this confusion. Why did Lily run away? Brandon, the colonel hesitated. He struggles to care for her alone. Lily's mother, Jennifer, left them 6 months ago. Brandon hasn't recovered from the separation and has been very strict with her. Strict how? Like I was with your mother, like I was with everyone. Military discipline sometimes becomes excessive at home. Emily looked at Lily, who had nestled into her neck. She's too little to run away alone. How did she get here? The military housing where Brandon lives with her is just 2 kilometers away. Lily knows the way because Brandon brought her to Mercy General Hospital for checkups. She came looking for help, Emily murmured, realizing the cleverness behind the girl's actions. And she found you. Her aunt. Just then, hurried footsteps echoed in the hallway. A tall, dark-haired man in a captain's uniform appeared at the door. His eyes went straight to Lily, sighing in relief when he saw she was safe. "Lily!" he called, moving closer, but the little girl only hid further behind Emily. Brandon stopped, noticing Emily for the first time. His expression gradually shifted from relief to shock, then to something like recognition. "Dad, is she your sister, Emily?" Brandon stepped forward slowly, as if Emily were a mirage that might vanish. "Sarah always said I had an older sister. I was too young to remember clearly, but I dreamed about you. A woman with brown hair who took care of me when I was little." Emily felt tears streaming down her face. "I dreamed too. Always dreamed I had a family. But I thought it was just my imagination." Lily lifted her little head and looked at Brandon, then at Emily. "Daddy, Auntie." "Yes, sweetheart, this is your Aunt Emily," Brandon said, his voice thick with emotion. Emily studied her brother more closely. He had deep shadows under his eyes, a tense posture, and seemed to carry a weight far heavier than someone barely 23 should. "Why did Lily run away, Brandon?" He lowered his head, ashamed. I've been too hard on her since Jennifer left. I snap at everything, set rules too strict for a 3-year-old. I have no patience. And she decided to find help. Seems so. She always asks about you, Dad. Always says she wants to meet the aunt from my dreams." The colonel stepped in. Emily, I know I'm asking a lot, but we'd like you to get to know our family better, to give us a chance to make up for lost time. Emily looked at Lily, who had fallen asleep again in her arms, then at Brandon, watching her with hope, and finally at the Colonel, whose eyes begged for forgiveness. I don't know. I need time to process all this. Of course, that's understandable, Brandon said. But Emily, Lily needs you. She's connected with you in a way she hasn't with anyone else since her mother left. Emily spent the rest of her shift caring for Lily, while Brandon and the Colonel waited in the lobby. The little girl refused to let go of her, clinging tighter every time Brandon came near. At lunch, Emily took Lily to the hospital cafeteria. The girl ate well for the first time in days, according to Brandon. "Auntie, are you going away?" Lily asked in her sweet little voice. "I don't know yet, sweetheart. Why do you ask?" "Everyone leaves me." Emily's heart ached. How could a 3-year-old already carry so much abandonment? "Did your mommy leave too?" Lily nodded sadly. "She fought with Daddy, yelled a lot. Then she left and never came back." "And you got scared?" "Daddy gets sad, gets mad at me, doesn't laugh anymore." Emily realized the situation was more complicated than she'd thought. Brandon was clearly battling depression and projecting his military rigidity onto the child. That afternoon, when Emily finished her shift, she found Brandon alone in the waiting room. The Colonel had gone to fetch clothes for Lily. "Can we talk?" Brandon asked. They walked to the hospital garden, where Lily played in the grass under their watchful eyes. "Emily, I know all this is sudden for you, but you need to know Lily has never acted like this with anyone. Not even me. She hasn't been this comfortable in a long time." "Brandon, can I ask you something personal?" "Of course." "What happened with Jennifer? Why did she leave?" Brandon took a deep breath before answering. "Jennifer and I got married too young. She was 19, I was 20. Lily came soon after. At first we were happy, but I started repeating our father's patterns. Strict schedules, excessive discipline, little affection shown. Jennifer endured it for 3 years, tried to change our dynamic, but I was too focused on my military career, and she got tired. More than that, she said she didn't want Lily growing up thinking love meant rigidity and coldness. Said I was becoming a copy of the Colonel. Emily watched Lily chasing a butterfly, free and happy for the first time since she'd met her. And was she right? She was, completely. But by the time I realized, it was too late. Jennifer had met someone else. Someone who made her laugh, who was affectionate with Lily. Did you try to fight for the marriage? I did, but the wrong way. I became even stricter, more controlling. Jennifer left one morning, taking just one suitcase. She left Lily with me because she said I was her father and had the right to raise her, but you weren't prepared to be a single dad. No, and I've been failing miserably. Lily cries almost every night, asking for her mom. I don't know how to comfort her, how to be affectionate. I only know how to give orders and set rules. Emily felt compassion for her brother. She saw in him the reflection of the same abandonment she'd suffered. Brandon, you can learn. It's not too late. That's what I hope. But Lily needs a maternal figure in her life. She needs someone who understands her, who's affectionate with her. And you're thinking of me. I'm thinking of family, of giving us a chance to be the family we never got to be. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. At that moment, Lily ran up to them, climbing into Emily's lap. "Auntie, are you going to live with us?" Emily looked at Brandon, who waited anxiously for her answer. "I need to think, Lily. It's a very big decision." "But do you like me?" "Of course I do, sweetheart. I like you very much." "Then stay with me. Daddy gets sad when he's alone." The simplicity of a child's logic touched Emily deeply. Lily had identified the problem and offered the most obvious solution: family unity. The Colonel returned with bags of clothes for Lily. Seeing them in the garden, he approached cautiously. "How are things here?" "We've talked a lot," Emily replied. "Colonel, can I call you Grandpa?" The man's eyes filled with tears. "It would be the greatest honor of my life. Grandpa, I'd like to get to know you both better, but I have one condition." "What is it?" I want to know everything about my mother. I want to know who Sarah was, what she was like, why she made the choices she did." The colonel took a deep breath. "She was like you, Emily. Kind, caring toward everyone around her, especially children. She always wanted to be a teacher. And you didn't let her?" "I didn't. I thought marriage and motherhood at 17 were more important than education." "Do you regret it?" "Every day." Sarah was smart, determined. She could have had a brilliant life if I hadn't been so old-fashioned. And when she got pregnant with Brandon, she ran away because she knew I'd do the same thing again, that I'd try to control her life and the baby. And you never heard from her again, never. But Emily, there's something you need to know." "What?" "When Brandon was 5, we tracked him down to a school in a small town out in the country. Sarah had become a teacher there, working with underprivileged kids. Emily's heart raced. And then, when we went to get him, we found out Sarah had gotten sick, very sick. She left Brandon with a neighbor and asked us to take him back. Sick how? Cancer. It was terminal." Emily felt her world collapse. She died. "We don't know. By the time we got there, she disappeared from the hospital. No one could say where she went or what happened to her." "Did you look for her?" "We searched for years. We hired detectives, checked every hospital, every city, but we never found a trace." Emily held Lily tighter, processing the information. "Could she still be alive?" "It's possible, or she might have left us long ago." Brandon stepped closer and placed a hand on Emily's shoulder. "Emily, I know this is a lot to take in, but no matter what happened to our mother, we're here. We're family. And Lily needs stability," added the colonel. "She needs love, not military discipline." Emily looked at the girl in her arms, who had fallen asleep again. "Where do you live?" "In the military village," Brandon replied. "It's a big house with extra rooms. Lily has her own bedroom full of toys she barely touches." "Why doesn't she play with them?" "Because she has no one to play with. I work a lot, and when I'm home, I'm either studying or handling reports." "And the colonel?" "I live next door," said the grandfather. "But Lily is afraid of me. I'm too serious for a child." Emily made a decision. "I'd like to spend a few days with you, to understand the situation better and see if I can help Lily." "Really?" Brandon couldn't hide the hope in his voice. "Really, but with a few conditions." "What are they?" "First, no military discipline for Lily. She's a child, not a soldier." "I completely agree," said Brandon. "Second, I want the freedom to establish routines suitable for her age." "Of course." "And third, I want your help to search for our mother." The colonel and Brandon exchanged glances. "Emily," said the colonel, "we never stopped looking. But after so many years, I know it might be pointless, but I need to try. I need to know what happened to her." "Then we'll do it together," Brandon decided. That afternoon, Emily asked for a few days off from Mercy General Hospital and went with Brandon and Lily to the military village. The house was indeed large, but cold and lifeless. It felt more like a military facility than a home. Lily's room was too immaculate for a 3-year-old. The toys were lined up perfectly. The bed was made like a soldier's. "Brandon, this looks like a barracks, not a child's room." "I know. Jennifer always complained about it, but I couldn't relax." "Lily, will you show me your toys?" Emily asked. The girl nodded timidly and pointed to a doll placed perfectly on a shelf. "Do you play with her?" "Daddy doesn't like it when I mess things up." Emily looked at Brandon, who lowered his head in shame. "Lily, from now on you can play with all your toys. You can make a mess. You can be a child." Lily's eyes lit up for the first time. "Really?" "Yes, sweetheart." Brandon watched as Emily messed up the room with Lily, teaching her to play house, to give the dolls different voices, to laugh loudly and without fear. "I've never seen her like this," he murmured. "Like what?" "Happy. Truly happy." That night, Lily asked Emily to read her a story. Brandon stood in the doorway, watching. "Auntie, are you leaving tomorrow?" "No, sweetheart. I'll stay with you for a few days." "And after that?" "Then, We'll see what happens. Lily snuggled closer to Emily. I wish you could stay forever. Why? Because you don't yell. Because you laugh with me. Because you make me feel safe. Emily felt tears in her eyes. Lily had put into words exactly what she herself had missed throughout her childhood: emotional security. After Lily fell asleep, Emily went to the living room where she found Brandon making coffee. Thank you, he said. For what? For making my daughter smile. I hadn't seen her smile in months. Brandon, can I be honest with you? Of course. You need professional help, not just to learn how to be a father, but to deal with the loss of your marriage. I know, I've thought about it, but military men don't do therapy, at least not where I work. That's nonsense. Even military men need to take care of their mental health. Would you do therapy with me? What do you mean? Family therapy, so we can learn how to be a family. Emily considered the proposal. Yes, I think it would be good for all of us, including Lily. What about looking for our mother? I've thought about that. I'll start with the school where she worked. I want to talk to people who knew her. I'll go with you. No, I want to do this alone first. I need to understand who Sarah was through other people's eyes, not filtered by the family's perspective. Brandon agreed, respecting her decision. In the following days, Emily established a completely new routine in the house. Lily woke up unhurried, had breakfast while playing, spent mornings outdoors, chatted during lunch, napped when she wanted, and played freely in the afternoon. The transformation in Lily was remarkable. The girl, who had once been quiet and tense, became a normal child. She talked non-stop, laughed loudly, threw occasional tantrums, and showed affection openly. Brandon watched it all with admiration and a touch of envy. How do you know how to do this? He asked one afternoon. Do what? Be so natural with her. Show affection without it seeming forced. Because I remember what it was like to want affection and not receive it, Brandon. I remember growing up thinking I didn't deserve love. And you think I make Lily feel that way? Sometimes, not intentionally, but yes. How can I change? Start by playing with her. No rules, no educational goals, just playing. Brandon tried, but his discomfort was obvious. He didn't know how to do funny voices, make up stories, or let himself be carried away by a child's imagination. It's harder than it looks, he admitted, because you've forgotten how to be a child, forgotten what it's like to play without purpose. Do you remember your childhood at the orphanage? I do. It wasn't easy, but I remember some good things. Sister Grace, who cared for us with such kindness, the moments of play in the courtyard, the stories we told each other at night. Do you miss it? I miss the simplicity of that time when all I wanted was a family to love me. And now that you've found a family. Emily looked at Lily, playing in the garden sand. Now I understand that family isn't just blood, it's a choice, a daily decision to love, care for, and protect. By the end of the first week, Emily decided to travel to Springfield, the town where Sarah had worked as a teacher. Brandon wanted to go with her, but she insisted on going alone. Lincoln Elementary School was in a modest part of town. Emily introduced herself as Sarah Stevens Miller's daughter and asked to speak with staff who might have worked with her. The principal, Mrs. Anderson, a white-haired woman, remembered Sarah immediately. Sarah. How could I forget? She was one of the best teachers we ever had here. Could you tell me about her? She arrived here young, with a little boy, said she needed work and had nowhere else to go. We hired her because she had a degree in education and a genuine passion for children. What was she like? Sweet, patient, creative. The children adored her. She made up games, put on little plays, turned every lesson into an adventure. Emily felt proud of the mother she'd never known. What about her son, Brandon? Oh, Brandon was a darling, always in his mother's arms or playing with the other children. Sarah took him to every school event. And when she got sick, Mrs. Anderson's face grew somber. It was very quick. Started with headaches, then dizziness. When we found out it was cancer, it was already advanced. And what happened after? She was desperate, not for herself, but for Brandon. She had no family, nowhere to send the boy. That's when we managed to contact your grandfather. And after Brandon left, Sarah fell into a deep depression. She stopped eating, barely spoke. We admitted her to the hospital, but she ran away, left a letter saying she didn't want to die in front of the children at school, that they should only remember her smiling. Emily felt tears streaming down her face. Do you still have that letter? I do. I've kept it all these years, waiting for someone from the family to come. Mrs. Anderson went to her desk and pulled a yellowed envelope from a drawer. Inside was a page with Sarah's delicate handwriting. Dear children and school friends, I must leave before you see me too sad. I want you to remember me laughing with you, playing, telling stories. Take care of each other. Always be kind. The world already has too much sorrow. You be the joy it needs. If one day my children come looking for me, tell them I love them more than anything in the world, that not a day passed without me thinking of them, that every child I taught was loved as if they were mine. Emily, my dear daughter, if you're reading this, know you were my first joy and my greatest regret. Not regret for having you, but for not fighting harder to stay with you. Brandon, my sweet boy, be strong, but don't forget to be tender. The world needs men who know how to show love. I love you forever, Sarah. Emily was sobbing by the time she finished reading. Did she die here in Springfield? We don't know. She vanished from the hospital and we never saw her again. Some say she went to St. Louis for treatment. Others think she went to the countryside to die in peace. Did no one look for her? We did, but she specifically asked not to be followed. We respected her wishes. Emily spent 2 more days in Springfield, talking to people who knew Sarah. Everyone spoke of her with warmth and admiration. An old co-worker mentioned Sarah always said she had 2 children she loved deeply, but lost through her own mistakes. When she returned to Denver, Emily was emotionally drained but determined. Lily ran into her arms the moment she saw her. Auntie, you're back. Of course I am, sweetheart. Brandon waited until Lily was asleep to ask about the trip. Did you find anything? Emily shared everything she'd learned and showed him Sarah's letter. She really loved us, Brandon said, his voice thick. She did, and she regretted her mistakes. And now? Do we keep looking? Yes, but differently. I'll reach out to social workers, hospitals, shelters, places a sick, lonely woman might have sought help. I can use my military contacts to help. Please do. But Brandon, we need to prepare for the possibility she's gone. I know, but I have to try. In the weeks that followed, Emily balanced caring for Lily, working at the hospital, and searching for Sarah. She contacted social workers in multiple cities, scoured hospital records, and spoke to organizations aiding vulnerable women. Lily's transformation grew clearer by the day. She'd become outgoing, affectionate, and confident, calling Emily Auntie naturally, and settling into a nightly play routine with Brandon. Brandon was changing too. He'd started therapy, learning to express feelings, be more flexible, and balance discipline with warmth. Emily, he said one night, can I ask you something? Of course. Have you ever thought about having children? Yes. I always wanted to, but I never found the right person. And now? With Lily? Lily isn't my daughter, Brandon. She's yours. But she sees you as her mother. I know. And that makes me happy, but also worried. Why? Because I don't want to confuse the roles. You're her father, and you need to take full responsibility for that. What if I asked you to officially adopt her, as a co-parent? Emily was surprised by the question. Brandon, think about it. Lily needs a mother figure. You have maternal love to give. I need help raising her. It would be perfect for everyone. What if I meet someone? What if I get married and want my own family? Then Lily would gain even more family, an extended family with aunts, cousins. Emily considered the proposal. The idea of making her relationship with Lily official was tempting, but also frightening. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing, I'll think about it, she said. 2 weeks later, Emily received a call that would change everything. It was from a social worker in St. Louis. Are you looking for Sarah Stevens Miller? I am. Do you have information about her? I do. Can you come here? Emily traveled to St. Louis that same day. The social worker, Mrs. Wilson, worked at a shelter for women in vulnerable situations. Sarah was here, she said, but not under the name Stevens Miller. What do you mean? She only went by Sarah Miller, said she wanted to start a new life with no ties to the past. When was this? About 10 years ago. She arrived here very sick, barely able to walk. What happened? We admitted her to a public hospital. She stayed there for months. The cancer was terminal, but she responded better than the doctors expected. Emily's heart raced. Did she recover? Partially. The treatment prolonged her life, but she was left very weak. When she was discharged, she came to live here at the shelter. Where is she now? That's the problem. 5 years ago, she met an older man who was also ill. They got married and moved to a small town in the countryside. Which town? We don't know. They wanted privacy. Sarah said she wanted to live her final years in peace, with no one knowing where she was. But she could still be alive. It's possible. The last we heard, she was doing well, within the limits of her illness. Emily felt a mix of hope and frustration. Do you have any clue where they went? Only that the man's name was Robert Thompson, and they mentioned going to rural Colorado. Emily returned to Denver with new hope. Sarah could be alive, married, maybe even happy. Brandon, our mother might be alive, she told him as soon as she arrived. Really? How? Emily recounted the conversation with the social worker. Should we look for her in Colorado? We will. But first, I need to settle something here. What? I accept your proposal. I want to officially adopt Lily as my daughter, too. Brandon smiled for the first time in a long while. Really? Really? But on one condition. What? When we find our mother, if we find her, I want Lily to meet her. I want her to know she has a grandmother. Of course, Lily deserves to know her whole family. That night, they told Lily about the plans. Lily, how would you feel if Aunt Emily became your second mommy? Can I have 2 mommies? Yes, said Emily. One mommy who made you and had to leave, and a second mommy who chose to stay with you. I want that. Lily jumped into Emily's lap. Will you be my mommy forever? Forever, my love. When the Colonel heard about the decision, he cried with emotion. You're becoming the family we should have always been. Grandpa, we're going to look for Mom Sarah in Colorado. Will you come with us? No, Emily. This search is yours. If you find her, and if she wants to see me, then I'll go. Why? Because I need her to forgive me first, and that can only happen if she wants it to. The preparations for the trip took a few weeks. Emily requested time off from the hospital, Brandon got special leave, and Lily was excited about meeting her long-lost grandma. They began their search in Boulder, looking for marriage records between Sarah Miller and Robert Thompson. They found nothing in the capital, but a clerk suggested they try smaller towns. They went to Fort Collins, then Loveland, then Aspen. In each town, they visited courthouses, hospitals, and clinics, always hoping for a clue. In Breckenridge, a tiny mountain town in Colorado, they finally got lucky. The clerk remembered the wedding. Oh yes, Mrs. Sarah and Mr. Robert. It was a simple but beautiful wedding. They were so happy. Do you know where they live? They used to live on Robert's farm just outside town, but that was years ago. I don't know if they're still there. Emily felt her heart race. Could we have the address? With the address in hand, they drove out of town toward the countryside. The farm was at the end of a dirt road, surrounded by pine trees with a stunning view of the mountains. We're here, Brandon said, stopping the car in front of a wooden gate. The house was modest, but well kept, with a flower garden in front and a vegetable patch on the sides. Smoke rose from the chimney. Someone was home. What now? Emily asked nervously. Now we knock and find out if our mother is inside. Lily was asleep in the back seat. They decided to leave her in the car and approach the door first. Emily knocked, her heart pounding. Slow footsteps approached, and the door opened. A woman around 50, slender with graying hair tied in a bun, appeared. Her eyes were exactly like Emily's. Yes? She asked, not recognizing them. Sarah, Emily whispered. The woman studied her closely, then looked at Brandon. Her expression shifted from curiosity to shock, then disbelief. Emily? Brandon? Mum, Brandon said, his voice breaking. Sarah leaned against the door, her legs weak. How did you find me? We searched for months, Emily said. We never stopped. You shouldn't be here, Sarah murmured, but her eyes brimmed with joyful tears. Why not? Because I didn't deserve. Because I abandoned you. Emily stepped forward and took her mother's hands. Mum, we read your school letter. We know you loved us. We know you did what you thought was best. But I failed you. I didn't fight hard enough. You were 17 when you had me, Emily said. You were practically a child yourself. You couldn't fight an entire system. Brandon moved closer too. Mum, the past doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that we're together now. Sarah looked at her two grown children, strong, united. You can forgive me? There's nothing to forgive, Mom, Emily said, embracing her. The hug was long, filled with years of longing and pent-up love. When they pulled apart, Sarah asked, How are you? Are you happy? We're learning to be happy, Brandon replied, and we have a surprise for you. What surprise? There's someone we want you to meet. They went back to the car and gently woke Lily, who was still drowsy. Lily, sweetheart, do you want to meet your Grandma Sarah? Lily rubbed her eyes and looked at the woman by the door. She's my grandma. Yes, my love. Lily got out of the car and walked timidly toward Sarah. When she got close, she reached out her little hand. Hi, Grandma, I'm Lily. Sarah knelt down to be at the girl's level. Hi, Lily. I'm your Grandma Sarah. You're so pretty. Grandma, do you really want to be my grandma? Forever? I do, my love, if you'll let me. Lily threw herself into Sarah's arms and the two hugged as if they'd known each other for years. At that moment, a man around 60 appeared at the door. Sarah, is everything okay? Robert, come here. These are my children, Emily and Brandon. And this is my granddaughter, Lily. Robert approached with a warm smile. So you're the children she's always talked about. Welcome. They entered the house, which was simple but cozy. The walls were covered with photos of children, students Sarah had taught over the years. Mom, do you still teach? I do. Here in town for the kids from the rural area, Robert helps me. He's retired. And how did you meet? At the hospital, Robert answered. I was getting chemotherapy for prostate cancer, and she was in treatment too. We became friends, then partners. And you got married for love? For love and companionship, Sarah said. Robert gave me a second chance at happiness. And kids? Does Robert have children? I have 3 kids, all married, living far away, but they accepted Sarah as their mother, and now you'll be their step-siblings. Lily was exploring the house curiously. Grandma, do you have dolls here? Yes, sweetheart. I keep toys for when my students' kids come to visit. Lily found a toy box and started playing, completely at ease. She's special, Sarah observed. Whose daughter is she? Mine, Brandon answered. Her mother left us. Emily's helping me raise her. Emily isn't married. No, but we're going to formalize her adoption as Lily's mother too. Sarah smiled. So Lily will have a dad, 2 moms, 2 grandpas, and lots of uncles. What a big family. And do you want to be part of that family? More than anything in the world. They spent the whole day talking, making up for 25 years apart. Sarah shared about the hard years, her illness, how she met Robert. Emily and Brandon told her about their lives, how they found each other through Lily. And the Colonel? Sarah asked. How's my father? Full of regret, Emily answered. He looked for me for years. He regrets everything he did. Has he changed? He's trying. Lily made him realize military strictness doesn't work with kids. Do you think he'd want to see me? I'm sure of it, but he said he'd only come if you wanted to see him. Sarah thought for a moment. I would, yes. We need to talk. There's a lot to settle. That night they stayed at the farmhouse. Robert made a special dinner and Lily had fun helping in the kitchen. It was as if they'd always been a family. Before bed, Sarah tucked Lily in and told her a story. "Grandma, are you staying forever?" "I don't know, sweetheart. I live here with Grandpa Robert. But can you visit us?" "I can, and I will, always." "And can Grandpa Robert be my grandpa too?" "If you want, he can." "I do. Then I'll have two grandpas." Sarah laughed at how easily Lily embraced their expanded family. The next day they called the Colonel. "Dad," Sarah said when he answered. There was a long silence on the other end. "Sarah, is that you?" "It's me, Dad." "My daughter, how are you?" "I'm good. I'm married, happy, doing what I love." "And your health?" "Stable. The cancer hasn't come back in 5 years." "Sarah, I need to ask for your forgiveness." "I know, Dad, and I forgive you. But we need to talk in person." "Can I come there?" "You can. But come prepared to meet your daughter-in-law and understand that my life has changed a lot." A week later, the Colonel arrived at the farm. The meeting between father and daughter was emotional. Both cried, asked for forgiveness, and talked for hours. The Colonel met Robert and immediately took a liking to him. "Thank you for taking care of my daughter," he said. "She's the one who took care of me," Robert replied. "Sarah saved my life just as much as I saved hers." Lily was the bridge between everyone. She treated the Colonel and Robert equally as grandfathers, making any tension disappear quickly. "Grandpa William, Grandpa Robert, do you want to play soldiers with me?" The two men, one a career military officer and the other a peaceful retiree, played on the floor with the girl, setting up toy armies and making up stories. "This girl has a gift for bringing people together," Sarah observed. "Just like her mother," said Emily, hugging Lily. During the Colonel's visit, they made an important decision. Sarah and Robert would move to Denver. He would sell the farm, and they would live in a house near the family. "But you're happy here," Brandon argued. "We are," Sarah replied, "but we've discovered happiness grows even bigger when shared with family." "What about my students here?" "You can teach there too. Denver has plenty of schools." "And Robert?" "I'll retire for good and become a full-time grandpa," he joked. The move took 2 months to organize. During that time, Emily and Brandon visited the farm often with Lily, who loved helping with the preparations. When they finally moved, the family gathered to choose the house where Sarah and Robert would live. Lily insisted it be close to her home and Grandpa William's. "That way, I can visit everyone every day," she explained. The house they picked was just 2 blocks from the military village. It had a big garden where Lily could play and enough space to host the whole family. On moving day, everyone pitched in. The Colonel carried boxes, Brandon arranged the furniture, Emily organized the kitchen, and Lily supervised everything, giving orders to everyone. "Grandpa Robert, your books go in the bedroom. Grandma Sarah, your plants belong in the garden. Grandpa William, you're putting the table in the wrong spot." Robert laughed at the girl's authority. "I think we've got a general in the family." "It's hereditary," Brandon joked. "Comes from the military side." When everything was set, they held a special dinner to celebrate the new home. Lily made sure to sit between her 2 grandfathers. "Now it's perfect," she said. "My whole family is together." Emily looked around the table. Brandon, Lily, Sarah, Robert, the Colonel. A family formed through loss, reunion, forgiveness, and choices. "Mom," she said to Sarah, "there's something I want to do." "What is it?" "I want to make your dream come true." "Which dream?" "Remember the letter you left at school? You talked about creating a place to care for children in need." "I remember." "Grandpa William has a large property. We could turn part of it into a shelter for mothers and children in vulnerable situations." Sarah's eyes lit up. "Really? Really? A place where teen mothers can stay with their babies, study, learn parenting, and get support. So they won't go through what you did," Sarah finished. "Exactly." The Colonel chimed in. "Emily, I fully support the idea. We can use my connections to secure resources and partnerships." "And I can teach the mothers who want to finish school," Sarah offered. "I can help with administration," Robert said. "And I'll handle organization and discipline," Brandon added. Lily raised her hand. "And I can play with the kids." Everyone laughed at her contribution. "Of course, sweetheart. You'll be our special assistant." In the following months, the project took shape. Sarah's Place, as it was named, began welcoming its first families. Young mothers in vulnerable situations found not just shelter there, but support, education, and an extended family. Sarah returned to doing what she loved most, teaching. She gave literacy classes to the mothers, organized activities for the children, and became a sort of mother to all the families who passed through the home. Emily divided her time between the hospital and Sarah's Place, where she cared for the children and guided the mothers on health matters. Brandon applied his military discipline to make the project efficient and sustainable. He secured partnerships with local businesses, organized a donation system, and established a routine that worked perfectly. The colonel used his influence to gain official support, resources, and recognition for the project. Robert became responsible for maintenance and the garden, where he taught the children to plant and care for the earth, and Lily became the heart of the place. She played with all the children, helped the younger mothers feel less alone, and spread joy wherever she went. 6 months after Sarah's Place opened, they welcomed a special family, a 17-year-old named Amber, 7 months pregnant, who had been kicked out by her parents. "It's exactly what I went through," Sarah said when she met Amber. "And now she has what you didn't, a family to support her," Emily replied. Amber gave birth at Sarah's Place, with the whole family by her side. The baby, a boy she named Ethan, became the mascot of the home. "Aunt Emily," Lily said, holding baby Ethan, "will he be my brother?" "No, sweetheart, he has his own mommy, but he can be your special friend." "And when he grows up, will he play with me?" "Of course. Then I'll teach him how to play soldier, just like Grandpa William taught me." Sarah's Place became well known in the region. Other cities began asking for guidance to create similar projects. Emily and Sarah traveled giving talks, sharing their experience, and inspiring other families to embrace social causes. On one of these trips, Emily met Matthew, a pediatrician who also worked with social projects. Their romance blossomed naturally, rooted in shared values and goals. "Emily, can I ask you something?" Matthew said after a few months of dating. "Of course. Would you marry a man who comes with a ready-made family? Someone who'll gain not just a wife, but a daughter, brother, mother, stepfather, grandfather?" Emily laughed. "Actually, you're the one gaining a huge family, and you haven't seen anything yet." When Emily introduced Matthew to the family, Lily was the first to test him. "Do you like to play?" she asked. "Love it." "Soldier games?" "If you teach me." "And dolls?" "Those too." "And will you take care of Aunt Emily?" "I'll take very good care of her." "And will you live with us?" "If you'll have me." Lily glanced around at the whole family, then turned back to Matthew. "You're in, but you have to follow my rules." "What are your rules?" "First, you have to make Aunt Emily laugh every day." "Promise." "Second, you have to play with me at least once a week." "Deal." "Third, you have to like my grandpas and grandma." "Already do." "Then you can stay." The wedding was celebrated at Sarah's Place, with all the families who had passed through there. Amber, now working as a project assistant, was one of the bridesmaids. 1-year-old Ethan was the ring bearer. Lily was the flower girl, proud of her role in the family. "Now I have Daddy, Mommy Emily, my real mum who's gone, Grandma Sarah, Grandpa Robert, Grandpa William, and Uncle Matthew who's also Daddy now." "That's a lot of family, isn't it?" Matthew teased. "No, family is never too much," and Lily was right. The family that had begun with a child lost in the snow had transformed into a web of love, embracing dozens of other families. Emily, who grew up without a family, was now surrounded by more love than she had ever dreamed possible. Brandon had learned to be a caring father and was dating one of the teachers at Sarah's Place. Sarah was living her dream of caring for mothers and children. The colonel had become the kind grandfather he was always meant to be. Robert had gained a large, loving family, and Lily, the girl who had run away from home searching for love, now lived surrounded by it. On the first anniversary of Sarah's Place, they threw a big celebration. Over 50 families who had been part of the project were there. Children ran through the garden, mothers chatted excitedly, fathers played soccer. Lily, now 5 years old, went up to the microphone. "Hey everyone," she shouted. "I want to say something." Everyone stopped to listen. "Do you know why I ran away from home?" "Why, Lily?" someone from the crowd asked. "Because I wanted a family who loved me. And you know what happened?" "What?" "I didn't just get one family. I got a whole bunch of families. And now you're all my families too." The audience applauded, moved by her words. "And you know the secret?" "What?" "The secret is that when you love someone, they become your family. It doesn't matter if they're related or not. What matters is love." Emily wiped away tears, touched by her daughter's wisdom. Lily finished her speech. "So let's love everybody, because that way our family will just keep getting bigger." And that's exactly what happened. Sarah's place kept growing, sheltering families, creating bonds and transforming lives. Emily and Matthew had a daughter, whom Lily helped raise as a big sister. Brandon got married and had children of his own. Sarah and Robert became honorary grandparents to dozens of kids. The little girl who had been found alone in the snow had taught an entire family the true meaning of unconditional love. And that lesson spread day after day to every family who found refuge and warmth at Sarah's place. The project became a national model, inspiring similar homes across the country. But for Emily, Brandon, Sarah, and Lily, the most important thing wasn't awards or recognition. The most important thing was that every night when Lily went to sleep, she was surrounded by people who loved her. And when she woke up in the morning, there was always someone smiling at her, ready for another day of love and laughter. The family that had formed on a cold winter morning had become a warm home, where multiplied love warmed not just their hearts, but the hearts of hundreds of others who found proof there that it's never too late to start over, never impossible to forgive, and never too small the love we can give. The end. And now, dear listener, tell us what you thought of this touching story. Do you believe love can truly bring together families separated by time and circumstance? Have you ever experienced something similar in your own family? Leave a comment sharing your story. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more heartwarming tales.